Layla pulled back just enough to meet her gaze. Your husband's off-the-books investments. Your father's little black book. Evelyn's botched charity funds. Shall I keep going? Victoria's grip slackened. How do you know these things? I watch. I listen. And people talk to me, Victoria. They always do. For the first time in years, Victoria Whitmore felt cornered. Not by a man. Not by a rival heiress. By her housekeeper. That night, she sat in her bedroom, staring at her reflection in the vanity mirror. You're losing it, she whispered to herself. Get her out. Do it now. But when she closed her eyes, she didn't see lawyers or contracts or scandals. She saw Layla. Her eyes, her hands, her lips, and the memory of that soft, dangerous whisper, "Don't blame me for distracting you." At 2 a.m., Victoria found herself outside Layla's room. She raised her hand to knock, but stopped. The door opened anyway. Layla stood there in a silk slip, her expression unreadable. Couldn't sleep? Layla asked. I don't know why I'm here, Victoria admitted, her voice breaking. Yes, you do. Victoria stepped into the room. The door closed behind her with a soft click. The door clicked shut behind them, sealing the two women into a cocoon of quiet. Victoria Whitmore stood in the dimly lit room, her back pressed against the smooth wood. Layla watched her from across the space, seated on the edge of her bed, a dark silhouette framed by moonlight pouring through gauzy curtains. Neither spoke. The air between them vibrated with something raw, dangerous. Why are you here? Layla asked at last, her voice low and steady. Victoria's throat felt dry. She didn't know how to answer. To tell you, she faltered as Layla rose slowly, the silk of her slip whispering against her skin. To tell me what? Layla murmured, moving closer. That this needs to stop. Layla stopped just inches away, her dark eyes unreadable. Do you want it to stop? Yes. But her voice cracked on the single syllable, betraying her. Layla's hand came up, brushing an errant lock of hair from Victoria's face. Then why are you trembling? Why? Layla whispered, her fingers trailing lightly along Victoria's jaw. Do you keep finding your way back to me? Victoria closed her eyes. You're manipulating me. Am I? Layla's tone was almost tender. Or am I just giving you permission to want what you've always wanted? Victoria's eyes snapped open. I don't want you. Then prove it, Layla said softly. Walk away. Right now. Victoria didn't move. Go on, Layla pressed. The door's right there. Still, Victoria stayed frozen. Layla smiled faintly. That's what I thought. The moment broke like a dam bursting. Victoria surged forward, her hands tangling in Layla's hair, pulling her into a kiss that was all teeth and desperation. Layla didn't resist. She met the onslaught with equal fervor, her arms wrapping around Victoria's waist as they stumbled back against the wall. The kiss deepened, slow and consuming, until Victoria pulled away gasping. This is wrong, she whispered. Is it? Layla asked, her lips ghosting along Victoria's neck. Or is it the first honest thing you've done in years? They didn't make it to the bed. Somewhere between the wall and the floor, Victoria's carefully constructed world came undone in Layla's arms. Every rule shattered, every line blurred, and when Victoria cried out, it wasn't with fear. It was with release. Much later, they lay tangled on the cool hardwood, the moonlight painting silver trails across their bare skin. Victoria stared at the ceiling, chest heaving. This changes nothing, she said hoarsely. It changes everything, Layla corrected gently. Victoria turned her head to look at her. You've destroyed me. Layla's expression softened. No, Victoria. I've uncovered you. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Victoria asked the question that had been burning in her since the beginning. Why me? Layla's eyes darkened. Because you remind me of the women who caged my mother. Perfect wives in perfect houses, looking down on her as she scrubbed their toilets. Victoria flinched. I came here to destroy you, Layla confessed. I wanted to make you feel small, powerless as my mother felt. Then why didn't you? Because you weren't what I expected. Victoria swallowed hard. What am I? Layla reached out, tracing her fingers over Victoria's lips. Mine, she said simply. Victoria wanted to deny it, to rage, to throw Layla out. But she didn't move. She couldn't. For the first time in her life, Victoria Whitmore realized she wasn't the hunter. She was the prey. And God help her, she didn't want to escape. Victoria Whitmore woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains. Her head throbbed, not from alcohol but from memory. The night before, the kiss, the heat, the soft, damning words, "You're mine." She sat up too quickly, clutching the silk sheet to her chest. Her clothes were scattered across the floor. Layla was gone. Victoria dressed hurriedly and fled to her wing of the mansion. She slammed the bedroom door behind her, pressing her back to it as though trying to keep someone out. Her reflection in the mirror was a stranger. Mascara smudged, hair tangled, lips still swollen from kisses that should never have happened. "Oh God," she whispered. "What have I done?" Her phone buzzed on the vanity. A message from Clarissa. Check page 6. "You're on it." Victoria's stomach dropped. She opened the link. There it was. A grainy photo taken through one of the estate's massive windows. Victoria and Layla, locked in a kiss so heated it left no room for misinterpretation. The headline screamed, "Ice Queen Whitmore melts. Secret affair with her maid?" Her phone exploded with notifications. "Evelyn, is this true?" Her lawyer, damage control meeting. Now, her mother, Victoria and Whitmore, call me this instant. Victoria threw the phone across the room. Downstairs, the staff were whispering. Angela avoided eye contact. Charles looked pale. Even Johnson, usually a stoic wall, gave her a glance laced with disappointment. Amusement? She couldn't tell. And in the kitchen, Layla stood calm and radiant in a white blouse and high-waisted trousers, as though nothing had changed. "You leaked it," Victoria hissed, storming in. Layla raised an eyebrow. "I didn't. Don't lie to me. Why would I need to?" Layla said softly. "The walls here have eyes. Your world was always waiting for you to slip." Victoria grabbed her arm, dragging her into the pantry. "You're destroying me," she whispered, frantic. "Am I?" Layla's voice was calm, unshaken. "Or are you doing it yourself, because you can't accept who you are?" Victoria's grip tightened. "You planned this. From the start." Layla's dark eyes locked on hers. "I planned to hurt you, but not like this." "Then why?" "Because I didn't expect to care." The pantry door creaked open. Angela stood there, wide-eyed. I'll come back later." She fled before either woman could speak. By midday, the damage was spreading like wildfire. Sponsors were pulling out of Victoria's charity gala. Stockholders were calling emergency meetings. Paparazzi camped outside the gates. And Evelyn arrived, her heels clicking like gunshots on marble. "You need to fix this," she hissed. "End it. Fire her. Deny everything." Victoria opened her mouth to speak, but Layla appeared in the doorway, calm as ever. "Too late for that," Layla said. "The truth has a way of living on, even when you bury it." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "You little enough," Victoria shouted, silencing them both. When the shouting stopped, Victoria found herself alone in her office. She stared out at the manicured lawn, where paparazzi lenses glittered like sniper scopes. For the first time in her life, she didn't know how to win. The only thing she knew was that she didn't want Layla to leave, even if it meant burning everything else to the ground. The Whitmore estate felt like a fortress under siege. News vans lined the streets beyond the gates. Paparazzi drones buzzed overhead. Inside, the staff moved like ghosts, nervous, whispering. Victoria Whitmore stood in her private study, staring at the stack of resignation letters from her board members. Each envelope felt like a death knell. "You've got to fix this," Evelyn said behind her, pacing like a caged animal. "You're hemorrhaging credibility. Whitmore Industries is at risk." "Then tell me how," Victoria snapped. "Disown her. Fire her publicly. Sue her for breach of contract. Apologize in a press conference. Spin the narrative." Victoria's hands trembled as she picked up one of the letters. "Do all of that," Evelyn said sharply, "and you might survive this. Don't, and you'll lose everything." The sound of soft humming reached Victoria's ears. It came from the hallway, faint, familiar, haunting. Layla. She found Layla in the library, barefoot, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a stack of poetry books. Are you enjoying yourself? Victoria demanded. Layla looked up calmly. As much as one can enjoy waiting for a verdict. You're not taking this seriously. I am. Layla closed her book gently. I just don't fear the outcome. Victoria stepped closer, her fists clenched. You've ruined me. Do you understand that? Layla's dark eyes met hers. No, Victoria. I've revealed you. Victoria turned away, pacing. They wanted to fire you. To deny everything. To paint you as some schemer. Isn't that how you saw me at first? Yes, Victoria whispered. But now? Layla asked softly. Now I don't know what's true anymore. Layla rose gracefully, crossing to stand inches from her. Then I'll make it simple for you, she said. I'll leave. Tonight. If you tell me to. But know this, if I go, I won't come back. Victoria's breath caught. And if you stay? Then you'll burn it all down, Layla said. Your name. Your empire. Everything. Victoria felt the weight of her entire lineage pressing down on her. The Whitmore name, centuries of legacy. The estate, her fortress and her prison. Her mother's voice. You were bred for perfection, Victoria. Don't embarrass us. And beneath it all, Layla's quiet defiance. What's the point of perfection if it leaves you hollow? The door burst open. Evelyn stormed in, holding a stack of tabloid prints. They're saying she's blackmailing you, that she seduced you to steal your fortune. Is that the story you want? Victoria looked between Evelyn and Layla. One represented her past, cold, calculated, powerful. The other, her future, wild, dangerous, unknown. She took a deep breath. Get out, Evelyn. What? Get out. You're making a mistake. No, Victoria said, her voice steel. I'm finally making a choice. Evelyn threw the tabloids down in disgust and stormed out. Victoria turned back to Layla. Stay, she said simply. Layla's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes, something warm, almost vulnerable. You're sure? She asked. No, Victoria admitted. But I've spent my whole life being sure, and it got me nowhere. Outside, the flash of cameras lit up the night like fireworks. The world was already writing her downfall. Victoria didn't care. For the first time in her life, she felt free. The headlines were merciless. Whitmore heiress in lesbian scandal. Victoria Whitmore throws away empire for maid, from billionaire to blackmail victim. Victoria stared at her phone, each notification another nail in the coffin of her reputation. Her advisors were calling nonstop. Investors demanded meetings. Reporters swarmed the estate gates. And yet, she felt strangely calm, because Layla was still here. Do you regret it yet? Layla asked, leaning against the doorway of Victoria's office. Victoria didn't look up from her phone. Do you? No, Layla said simply. But I know how much more it'll cost you. I don't care. Layla smiled faintly. You will. Later that afternoon, Victoria summoned her PR team. We need to control the narrative, one advisor said. Paint her as the villain. Make it clear you're the victim of seduction and manipulation. No, Victoria said firmly. The room fell silent. What do you mean no? Another asked. I mean, I'm not playing that game. I'm not a victim, and Layla isn't the villain. Then what do you suggest? Victoria stood, her posture regal despite the storm outside. We tell the truth. An hour later, she posted to her personal Instagram account, a platform she had rarely used except for charity galas and business milestones. The photo, Victoria and Layla in the garden, their hands intertwined, sunlight catching in Layla's hair. The caption, Love isn't scandalous. It's survival. The post went viral within minutes. Thousands of comments poured in. Fire queen behavior. Let them choke. Broken heart. She's throwing away Whitmore Industries for a housekeeper. Sparkle's power couple of the decade. Collision canceled them both. The backlash was instant. But so was the support. That evening, Layla found Victoria in the conservatory, sitting among the orchids. You didn't have to do that, Layla said softly. Yes, I did, Victoria replied. Layla knelt beside her, brushing her fingers over Victoria's hand. Now you've made yourself a target. Wasn't I always? Layla hesitated, her expression shadowed. There's something I need to tell you. Victoria looked at her, wary. What? I wasn't just running from my past. I was running from someone. Who? A man named Carter Bishop. He's not just a private investigator. He's part of a group I crossed in Atlanta. Dangerous people. Victoria's blood ran cold. What did you do? Layla's voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed fear. I stole from them. Medium, because they stole something from me first. Victoria stood abruptly. Do you mean to tell me I'm in the middle of some criminal vendetta? You were already in the middle, Victoria, Layla said quietly. The moment you let me in. Suddenly, the estate alarms blared. Security monitors lit up. 3 black SUVs parked at the gates. Men in suits stepped out, their faces obscured by caps. They found me, Layla whispered. Victoria turned to her, her jaw set. Then they found me too, and I don't run. The estate was no longer quiet. Sirens wailed. Floodlights burst to life, casting harsh white beams over the manicured lawns. Security guards scrambled to their positions. But Victoria Whitmore didn't flinch. She stood at the top of the grand staircase in a silk blouse and tailored trousers, staring down at the chaos below like a queen holding court in the middle of a coup. Layla appeared at her side, barefoot, hair loose, her face pale but determined. They're here for me, Layla said quietly. You still have a chance to hand me over and end this. Victoria's lips curled in a dangerous smile. Do I look like the kind of woman who hands people over? The front gates shook under the force of Carter Bishop's men. Victoria's head of security, Johnson, ran up the stairs 2 at a time. Mrs. Whitmore, we can't hold them. They're armed. Then arm us. Mom. Arm us. The armory of Whitmore Estate, something her late husband had installed for emergencies, had never been used. Until now. Within minutes, Victoria and her most loyal staff were outfitted with pistols, rifles, and body armor. Evelyn would call this insanity, Layla murmured as she strapped on a Kevlar vest. Evelyn isn't here, Victoria said. And if she were, I'd tell her to get the hell out of my way. The first SUV breached the gates. Carter Bishop stepped out. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in black tactical gear. His expression was calm, almost bored, as he gestured for his men to fan out. Victoria Whitmore, his voice boomed. Hand her over, and we'll leave your precious estate intact. Victoria raised her chin, stepping out onto the balcony. You've made a mistake coming here. Carter smirked. The mistake was hers. He pointed at Layla, now standing behind Victoria. She knows why I'm here. Layla's hands trembled. Carter, please, she began. Enough lies, Carter snarled. You stole $10 million from us. And something else. Victoria glanced at Layla sharply. Something else. Layla's lips parted, but no words came. Gunfire erupted. Victoria didn't flinch. Johnson locked down the estate. Nobody gets in or out. Yes, ma'am. The battle was short but brutal. Victoria fired her first shot in years. Her hand steady, her aim true. One of Carter's men went down. Not bad for a Whitmore, Layla murmured. Not bad for a housekeeper. Victoria shot back. They shared a fierce smile as they moved together, covering each other like seasoned partners. Finally, Carter himself breached the main hall, his pistol drawn. Layla stepped forward. Stop this, Carter. I'll give back the money. This isn't about money anymore, Carter growled. Where's the child? Victoria froze. The what? Layla's face crumpled. Tell her, Layla, Carter said. Or I will. Layla whispered. I have a son. Victoria's world tilted. A son. Yes. Layla's voice shook. I had him when I was 17. Carter's employers took him from me. I stole from them to buy his freedom. Where is he? Victoria demanded. I don't know, Layla admitted. They never returned him. I've been searching ever since. Carter leveled his gun at Layla. Your time's up. But before he could fire, a single shot rang out. Victoria had pulled the trigger. Carter staggered back, clutching his shoulder, and fell. Silence fell. Victoria lowered her gun slowly. Anyone else want to take her? She asked the remaining men coldly. They backed away. As Carter was dragged out by his own men, Victoria turned to Layla. You have a son, she said softly. I was going to tell you, Layla whispered. Victoria cupped her face in her hands. Then we'll find him. Together. The Whitmore estate was eerily silent. Hours ago, it had been a battlefield. Now, only the faint scent of gunpowder lingered in the halls. Victoria Whitmore stood by the window, her hands wrapped around a cup of cold tea she'd forgotten to drink. They'll come back, she said. For you. For him. Layla sat on the edge of the sofa, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. I can't keep running forever, she whispered. Then don't. Layla looked up, startled. Victoria's gaze was steel. We take the fight to them. By nightfall, the Whitmore jet was fueled and waiting. You're sure about this? Johnson asked, his brow furrowed. Leaving the country in the middle of a media firestorm isn't wise. I've been wise all my life, Victoria said coldly. Look where it got me. Layla appeared at her side, dressed in black jeans and a leather jacket, a far cry from the crisp uniform she once wore. Where to first? Victoria asked. Atlanta, Layla replied. That's where it started. That's where he was taken. Victoria nodded. Then that's where we'll start. The jet sliced through the night sky, luxury seats, and champagne forgotten. Layla sat tense, staring out the window. You've never asked about his father, she said suddenly. Victoria glanced at her. Do you want me to? Layla's lips curved in a sad smile. There's nothing to tell. He was gone before I even knew I was pregnant. Victoria reached across the aisle, taking her hand. Then we find the only family that matters. Atlanta was a different world from the polished marble halls of Whitmore Estate. The streets Layla led Victoria through were narrow, littered, pulsing with neon and danger. Stay close, Layla murmured. This isn't your world. Victoria smirked faintly. I adapt quickly. Their first stop was a dingy bar on the city's south side. Inside, the air was thick with cigarette smoke and tension. At the back table sat a woman with sharp eyes and sharper cheekbones. Layla Freeman, she drawled. Didn't think I'd see you alive. Hello, Tasha, Layla said. Who's the Ice Queen? Tasha asked, eyeing Victoria. My partner, Layla replied. Victoria felt a strange warmth at the word. Tasha slid a photo across the table. It was grainy but clear enough. A boy, maybe 6 years old, with Layla's eyes. He's alive, Tasha said. But he's not free. Carter wasn't lying. They've been grooming him to inherit the Bishop Empire. Layla's hand shook as she touched the photo. Where? She demanded. Safe house outside the city. But it's a fortress. Guards. Surveillance. You won't get in alive. Victoria's voice was like ice. Watch me. That night, in a cheap motel room, Victoria studied blueprints of the safe house on her laptop. You're serious about this, Layla said softly. Victoria didn't look up. I'm serious about you. Layla reached out, covering Victoria's hand with hers. Why? She whispered. Why would you risk everything for me? Victoria met her gaze. Because you risked everything just by walking into my world. Now I'm walking into yours. Outside, headlights swept across the parking lot. Layla stiffened. They found us. Victoria closed the laptop with a snap. Then let's not make it easy for them. The boy frowned. Mother? Carter said my mother's dead. Tears welled in Layla's eyes. He lied. I've been looking for you. Every single day. But before she could take another step, a gun cocked behind them. Well, isn't this touching? Carter Bishop stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 armed guards. I warned you, Layla. You can't steal from us and expect to walk away. Victoria stepped between Carter and Layla, her chin high. Let them go. Take me instead. Carter laughed. You? The Ice Queen herself? What could you possibly offer me? My empire. Every cent. Every asset. It's yours. Just let them walk out of here. Layla's eyes widened. Victoria, no, do it. Victoria Feast. Carter studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Fine. Take the boy and go, Layla. The Whitmore Empire will keep me entertained. As Layla fled with her son, Carter's men closed in on Victoria. Don't hurt her, Carter said with a smirk. Yet, Victoria was led to a darkened room, and tied to a chair. But even as fear coiled in her stomach, she smiled faintly, because she knew Layla had made it out. The car sped through the outskirts of Atlanta, the boy clinging to Layla's arm, silent and trembling. She couldn't stop staring at him. Every line of his face was a mirror of her own. But his eyes, those wide, cautious eyes, weren't hers. They belonged to years of lies Carter had fed him. "Where are we going?" he asked at last. "Somewhere safe," Layla said softly. But her mind wasn't on safety. It was on Victoria, bound, alone, in Carter's hands. "Mom," the boy said hesitantly. "Carter said you left me, that you didn't want me." Layla's heart cracked open. "That's not true. I fought for you. I bled for you. I'm here because I never stopped." He turned away, staring out the window. She couldn't blame him. He didn't know her. Not yet. The car screeched to a halt outside a rundown motel. Tasha stood waiting, arms crossed. "You got the kid. Good. Now get on a plane before Carter sends every dog in Georgia after you." "I can't," Layla said. Tasha's eyes narrowed. "Don't tell me. I'm going back." Tasha cursed under her breath. "You're insane. That woman wouldn't risk it for you. She already did." Layla's voice was steel. "Now it's my turn." The boy grabbed her sleeve. "Where are you going?" "To save someone." "Why?" Layla knelt, cupping his small face. "Because she saved me first. Because love means you don't run when it's hard." At the Bishop's safe house, Carter was in no hurry to kill Victoria. He preferred games. "You Whitmores think you're untouchable," he mused, circling her chair. "But everyone breaks. Even ice queens." Victoria met his gaze coolly. "Try me." He smirked. "I will." The door burst open. Layla stood there, backlit by flickering fluorescent light. "Let her go," she said. Carter laughed. "You're predictable." He pulled a gun, pointing it at Victoria's head. "Say goodbye." Layla raised her own weapon, hands steady. "Don't do it." "Why not?" "Because if you kill her, you'll never get what you want." Carter cocked his head. "And what do I want, sweetheart?" "Me," Layla said. Victoria's eyes widened. "No, yes," Layla continued. "You've always wanted to break me. So take me." "Let her go." Carter hesitated. "On your knees," he said. Layla obeyed. "Layla, no." Victoria shouted, struggling against her bonds. But Carter's eyes glittered with victory. That was his mistake. In that moment of arrogance, Layla fired. One clean shot to the leg. Carter crumpled with a howl of rage. Victoria kicked her chair backward, slamming it into one of the guards. Chaos erupted. Layla dragged Victoria to her feet. "Run," she screamed. But Victoria froze. "Your son, what about him?" Layla's face was a mask of anguish. "Tasha's getting him out. We don't have time." Gunfire followed them as they fled down the hallway. When they burst into the night air, Victoria turned to Layla, breathless. "You came back." "I told you," Layla said fiercely. "I don't run." The safe house was gone, reduced to a smoking ruin by Victoria's private security team hours after she and Layla fled. But Carter Bishop wasn't dead, and he wasn't finished. Victoria Whitmore paced the motel room like a caged panther. Her designer blouse was torn, her hair matted with sweat and dust, but her eyes burned with cold fury. "No more running," she said. Layla sat on the edge of the bed, her arms wrapped around her son. The boy was asleep, his head in her lap. "Agreed," she said softly. "But we can't go in guns blazing again. This time, we need precision." Victoria stopped pacing, her gaze sharp. "Then we hit him where it hurts. His money, his people, his reputation. We dismantle Bishop from the inside out." By dawn, they had a plan. Layla knew Bishop's operations in Atlanta. The fake charities, the shell companies, the warehouses stacked with untraceable cash. Victoria had the resources. Hackers, mercenaries, and, more importantly, a name that still opened doors even after the scandal. Together, they would burn him to the ground. Their first strike was elegant. At exactly 2 a.m., Bishop's offshore accounts began bleeding millions into anonymous foundations Victoria had set up. At 3 a.m., Layla's contact and the press released leaked footage of Bishop's men torturing debtors in a warehouse. By sunrise, Carter Bishop was no longer a shadowy figure in the criminal underworld. He was headline news. But Bishop wasn't going down without a fight. At noon, Victoria's phone buzzed. A video message. It was Johnson, her most trusted security chief, bound and bloodied. Carter's voice drawled from off-screen. You really thought you could win? You take my money, I take your people. Game on, Ice Queen. Victoria's hands clenched into fists. Layla placed a hand on her arm. He's baiting you. I know, Victoria said. Her voice was calm, but her knuckles were white. And I'm biting. The plan changed. That night, they would infiltrate Bishop's penthouse, his true stronghold. Layla knew a hidden route through the service tunnels beneath the city, a remnant from her time running jobs for him years ago. I thought I'd never walk these tunnels again, Layla whispered as they descended into the darkness. Victoria adjusted the pistol at her side. After tonight, you never will. The tunnels reeked of mildew and rot. Every step brought them closer. To Carter, to Johnson, to the end. You could still walk away, Victoria said suddenly. Take your son. Start over. Layla turned to her, eyes fierce in the dim light. You don't understand. It's not just about my son anymore. You're my family too. Victoria's breath caught. They reached the end of the tunnel. A steel grate separated them from the basement of Bishop's Tower. Once we're in, no turning back, Layla warned. Victoria smiled grimly. I wasn't planning to. As they slipped inside, the silence was deafening. Too deafening. Something's wrong, Layla murmured. Then the lights blazed on. They were surrounded. Carter Bishop stood at the top of the stairs, flanked by heavily armed men. Bravo, he said. You made it further than I expected. Victoria raised her gun. But before she could fire, a familiar voice said, Don't. Johnson stepped out of the shadows, unharmed, and holding a gun aimed at Victoria. Johnson, Victoria choked. I'm sorry, ma'am, he said, his expression unreadable. But Carter pays better. The sound of Johnson's betrayal echoed louder than any gunshot. Victoria stared at him, her face an unreadable mask. Why? She asked, her voice low, deadly calm. Johnson's jaw tightened. You're a Whitmore. You'll never understand. Carter didn't just pay me. He promised me power. A seat at the table. You never even saw me. Victoria blinked once. You're right, she said coldly. I didn't. And that was my mistake. Carter clapped his hands slowly. How touching, but enough talk. Layla, my dear, back where you belong. His men advanced. Layla raised her gun, her stance steady. I don't belong to anyone. Victoria followed suit, her own weapon aimed squarely at Johnson. You'll have to kill us both, Victoria said. Carter grinned. Oh, I intend to. The room erupted in chaos. Gunfire shattered the silence. Bullets tore into the walls, sending shards of plaster flying. Victoria dropped to a crouch, firing controlled shots. Two of Carter's men fell. Layla rolled across the floor, grabbing a fallen rifle. Cover me, she shouted. Victoria pivoted, sending a hail of bullets toward the advancing guards. Then pain exploded in her shoulder. She stumbled, blood soaking her blouse. Victoria! Layla screamed. Johnson raised his gun again, aiming for Victoria's head. But before he could fire, Layla charged, slamming into him with all her weight. They crashed to the floor, struggling for control of the weapon. Carter, watching from the stairs, aimed his own pistol at Layla. Enough, he snarled. You've cost me too much already. His finger tightened on the trigger, bang. Carter's eyes went wide. Blood bloomed across his chest. He staggered, looking down at the hole in his suit. The boy, Layla's son, stood in the doorway, a small pistol clutched in trembling hands. Leave my mom alone, he whispered. Carter collapsed. The room went still. Johnson cursed, trying to wrench the gun from Layla's grip, but Victoria, bleeding, barely standing, fired one last shot. Johnson fell silent. Layla scrambled to Victoria's side, her hands pressing against the wound in her shoulder. You're okay. You're okay. Stay with me. Victoria smiled faintly, blood on her lips. I'm not going anywhere. The boy ran to them, tears streaming down his face. I didn't mean to. You did good, Layla said fiercely, pulling him into a hug with one arm while still holding Victoria's hand with the other. Sirens wailed in the distance. Victoria's security reinforcements, called in as a last resort. Layla pressed her forehead to Victoria's. We're going to get you out. All of us. Victoria's eyes fluttered shut. You'd better. Smoke billowed behind them, carrying the scent of gunpowder and blood. Layla's arms ached from holding Victoria upright. Every step was a battle as they staggered through the service tunnels, Victoria's blood leaving a dark trail on the concrete. You're going to be okay, Layla whispered over and over. Victoria smiled weakly, her face pale. Liar, she rasped. Shut up, Layla said fiercely. You don't get to die. Not now. Not after everything. The boy clung to Layla's jacket, his eyes wide with fear. Mom, is she going to die? Layla forced her voice steady. No, she's stronger than anyone I know. But in her chest, her heart screamed the truth. I don't know if I could save her. They reached a small maintenance hatch. Tasha's voice crackled over Layla's earpiece. About a car waiting topside. 2 blocks east. Move fast. The cops are swarming. We're coming, Layla said. She hoisted Victoria higher. Almost there, V, stay with me. Victoria's hand twitched weakly in hers. Didn't think you'd call me that again, she murmured. Didn't think I'd get to, Layla whispered back. They burst into the night air. The car screeched to a halt. Tasha jumped out, throwing the rear door open. Get her in. The boy slid in first. Layla climbed in after, cradling Victoria's head in her lap. Drive, she barked. Tasha didn't need telling twice. Tires screamed as they tore away from the burning tower. Inside the car, Victoria's breathing grew shallow. Layla, she whispered, don't you dare say goodbye. Wasn't going to, Victoria said with a faint smile. Just don't let them raise him like me. Layla's chest tightened. I won't. He's going to have a mother and a future. And her voice broke. And so are you. The boy reached over, gripping Victoria's hand with his small one. Don't die, he whispered. Victoria turned her head slightly, her blue eyes soft. Hello, little man, she murmured. You're just as stubborn as she is. Suddenly, gunfire exploded behind them. A black SUV roared into view, its headlights blinding. They're not done, Tasha growled. Hold on. The car swerved violently as bullets shattered the rear window. Layla shielded Victoria with her body, feeling glass bite into her arms. We can't outrun them, Tasha shouted. Layla's mind raced. There was only one way. Take the kid. Get him out, Layla said. Tasha glanced at her in the mirror. What about you? I'm staying. Victoria's eyes fluttered open. No, she whispered. Don't leave. Layla pressed a kiss to her forehead. I'm not leaving. I'm ending this. The car skidded to a halt at an intersection. Go, Layla shouted, shoving the boy into Tasha's arms. Mom, listen to me. I love you. Always. Go with her. Be safe. The boy sobbed, clutching at her sleeve, but Tasha dragged him into the driver's seat and gunned the engine. Layla turned back to Victoria. Stay alive for me. Please. Victoria's lips formed a word, soundless but clear. Always. As Tasha's car disappeared, Layla stepped out into the street, her gun raised. The SUV screeched to a stop yards away. Carter, second in command, an ice-eyed killer named Reed, emerged flanked by men with rifles. Thought you could take down a king without paying the price? Reed sneered. Layla's grip tightened on her weapon. Kings fall. Queens rise. And then she charged. The night air was heavy with smoke and gunpowder. Layla's boots crunched glass as she advanced, gun raised. Reed smirked from behind his men, the muzzle of his rifle glinting under the streetlight. You really think you can take us all? He said. Layla's jaw clenched. I don't think. I know. The first shot rang out. Layla ducked behind a wrecked car as bullets tore into the metal. Her mind flashed images of her son, of Victoria's bloodied face whispering always. She couldn't fail. Not now. She rolled out, firing 3 clean shots. 2 of Reed's men fell. Reed snarled. Kill her. The remaining guards advanced, but Layla was faster. Years of running, of surviving, had honed her into something Bishop never foresaw, a soldier. She dropped the last guard with a well-placed shot, but Reed was gone. A voice echoed from the shadows. You're good, Layla. but not good enough. Suddenly, pain ripped through her side. She gasped, staring down at the knife Reed had driven into her ribs from behind. He twisted the blade. Bishop's dead, but his legacy lives in me. Layla gritted her teeth. Blood seeped between her fingers as she grabbed his wrist. Not anymore. With a surge of strength, she wrenched the knife free and slammed it into his chest. Reed staggered back, his eyes wide in shock. "This isn't over." "Yes," Layla whispered, her voice like steel. "It is." Reed fell. Layla stumbled, clutching her side. She had won. But what cost? Meanwhile, miles away, Victoria lay pale and still in a hospital bed. Beeping monitors marked the faint rhythm of her heartbeat. Tasha paced outside, her phone clutched tight. "She's not going to make it unless we get her in surgery now," the doctor said. "Do whatever it takes," Tasha snapped. Money's not an issue. But she knew it wasn't about money. It was about time. Hours later, Layla burst into the hospital, bloodied and limping. She collapsed into a chair beside Victoria's bed, gripping her cold hand. "You don't get to leave me now," she whispered hoarsely. Her tears fell freely, soaking Victoria's sheets. "You made me fight for my life. Now I'm asking you, fight for yours." And somehow miraculously, Victoria's fingers twitched. Layla froze. "V," she whispered. Victoria's eyelids fluttered open. Her voice was barely a breath. "You came back." Layla sobbed. "Always." Weeks later, the world watched as Whitmore Holdings filed for bankruptcy, only to re-emerge under a new name, the Whitmore-Layla Foundation, a corporation built on justice, charity, and second chances. Victoria stood at the podium, her arm in a sling, a faint scar marring her flawless skin. At her side, Layla held her son's hand, his eyes bright with hope. "Some say power corrupts," Victoria said, her voice strong. "But I say power reveals." And today, we reveal what happens when we refuse to let the past define us. As applause thundered, Layla leaned close. "Think they'll accept the housekeeper turned co-CEO?" she teased. "Victoria's Mirketh. Darling, you're a diva. They'll worship you." The boy